All right, guys, here we go. Joined by punter James Smith and wide receiver Michael Young Jr. Same as before, raise your hands to get in the queue and identify who you're asking the question to. Chad Brendel, why don't you lead us off?
James, you made a heck of a leap coming halfway across the world to a program that was struggling at the time. What has this experience kind of all been like for you? And I know you've had a great career, but seeing it kind of culminate with an AAC championship and a chance to play in the Peach Bowl against Georgia for a guy that I'm guessing didn't know a lot about the college football world when you showed up here 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's definitely fair to say that I knew pretty much not a lot about college football, but sort of from day one during the recruiting process, like Coach Mason, Coach Fick were pretty adamant that this program was going to be on the turnaround, and their goal was to change this program back to the highest of highs that it had been, and that was definitely something that I wanted to get on board with. And then just the opportunities and belief that they had in me, not only in like playing ability, but in forms of a leadership role, like being a guy that's a little bit older. Just to get around the team and try push the team in the direction that we wanted to go was definitely something that has been very fortunate for myself, because I've developed more so as a player and a leader than I probably have in terms of on-field success. So just that drive from within to create more leaders and produce not only on the field but in the locker room as well is just it's just been a phenomenal experience.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
Michael, obviously everything with COVID this season has made things weirder than anyone could have anticipated. But, when you transferred to come here, the way this season has gone for you individually, but also the team and everything you guys have accomplished, did it meet your expectations? Did it exceed expectations? How do you feel collectively the whole season's gone?
Individually, I mean, the only thing I wanted to come in was, come in and produce, show that I'm capable of helping the team. I think I've done a very good job at that. Obviously, there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement, but I mean, that just comes with time. As far as the team, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it exceeds my expectation. Like I said, Cincinnati was on my radar before, entering the portal, and obviously they were a winning program, back-to-back level 1 seasons. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, and I knew they were right on the brink of, getting a championship and, a conference that produces a lot of talent and competes with the best. I mean, you see it year in and year out. So for us to come in and win a conference championship, it was for me, it was amazing. Obviously coming from a team that doesn't, play in a conference. So it was amazing to see that, to be a part of it. But at the same time, it wasn't anything that was just kind of over the top for me that exceeded, because like I said, I knew what this team had. I know what we were capable of doing. So for me, it was like, okay, now we're finally putting it together.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
James, at what point in your time at Pro Kick Australia did you realize I might be pretty good at this? And have you exceeded what your expectations were with your performance here over the past 4 years?
Yeah, so I've always been gifted. I had a pretty good leg and was reasonably athletic at most sports that I played back home. So I knew I had the athleticism and the drive factor to want to be good, but it sort of didn't really come full circle till probably after that end of that 2017 season and towards into that 2018 season, where I was probably punting and feeling the best that I had been. And then it's been a little bit different the last 2 years. We've had a very good offense, and I've had a lot more situational punts than I did the first 2 years. But at the start, and I probably didn't think that I was going to be able to potentially go to the next level or would have the capabilities of going to the next level. But that sort of just came with as the opportunities and the belief from the coaches. And then you start getting a little bit of recognition, and then people are well, he's probably got the ability to go to the next level or make a career out of this if that's what he wanted to do. And then since then, I've probably been taking it very seriously. And that's the dream now, of course, so is to not only have the success with the team and then potentially move into this as a career option for me.
As a follow-up, how aware are you that you haven't had a chance to run a fake yet? And last game in college, are you looking for that opportunity?
Yeah, well, to be fair, we've had many fakes in for many weeks, and it's all about getting the look to be able to run one. And unfortunately, the one we actually ran against ECU was not called off the sideline. Joel made the check in at the huddle, and unfortunately that week didn't involve me. So I think I lucked out a little bit, but there's always fakes and things that we're looking to do. We're pretty lucky that we've got such an athletic and gifted group on the punt team. And yeah, to be able to do one in the last game would pretty be unreal, but I'm not, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Charlie Goldsmith, go ahead.
Michael, can you describe the advantage it gives you guys when you're playing with the quarterback with the size and the speed and the strength and the arm strength that Desmond Ridder has?
It's pretty easy. He makes our job 10 times easier because Des having the ability to be able to be a threat in the run game and also be a threat in the passing game. It makes our job easier. It just makes it, for us, it allows us to go out there and play freely. It allows us to go out there and not think so much because now there's a chances Des is going to make you right. And when you have that at quarterback, it makes the flow of the game much smoother. And also, it just raises the overall morale and the confidence within the offensive group. I'm glad we have him on our team. Obviously, he's played a huge role in our success this year, and hopefully, he can keep it going.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, not to age you, but just being an older player and so far from home, what has this season been like? When was the last time you were able to go home and, being that far away from family, how have you navigated this year and all its challenges?
This year's definitely sort of been a challenge. So I haven't been home for probably 18 months now, pretty close to 2 years. But yeah, it was definitely like a bit of an eye-opening thing this year. Like, this isn't how anyone would have envisioned their senior year going, and definitely not how my parents would have envisioned it. They were hoping to get over here, see a few games, be here for senior night and all that sort of thing. But it was all put on hold due to sort of the COVID-19 pandemic. But to be fair, like, all the support that I've had from my parents, like, they understand, like, look, this is, unfortunately, we can't be there, but you've got your family there that's going to be able to support you. Like, and I'm lucky that I've made great connections with other guys on the team and their families. So I've been getting looked after quite well this year, even though that, like, my family can't come. I've got my extended family here at UC that's been looking after me and doing things like that. So it hasn't really been any different, but it's always nice to see your family. So there's been a lot of FaceTime and phone calls with them, like, each week, a few times, just to see how everything's going. And yeah, but other than that, it's been basically just back to work. We know what we're trying to achieve. So it's been the driving force to keep us sort of going.
Marc Weiszer, go ahead with your question.
Michael, I'm curious about what you think the offense's chances are to make enough plays to win, given their defense has been playing better down the stretch, but against Florida and Alabama, they obviously were able to make explosive plays against Georgia.
I think the confidence level in the offensive group is high. I just think for us, we have to go in there and just execute. I think that's the name of the game, regardless whether you're playing someone like Georgia or you're playing a low-tier school. The name of the game is to go out there and execute. So I think if we execute our game plan and do what we're supposed to do, I think we have a good chance. And I think that will go for anybody, who plays against a team that has a really good defense, or whoever. So I think that's the main goal. I think that's the focus of the team, is just go out there and put our best foot forward and execute the plays to the best of our ability. As long as we do that and don't shoot ourselves in the foot, I think we have a pretty good chance.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
Michael, you've been through a week preparing for Georgia at Notre Dame. Does that give you maybe a little bit of an advantage, having studied them before and looked into how they play and what they're capable of?
Yeah. So this will be my third time playing these guys. I played them my freshman year at Notre Dame, and then last year I got to prepare, but I was out injured. That was a game before I came back. So third time seeing these guys. A lot of familiar faces, but I wouldn't necessarily say it gives me an advantage. I just know, the looks. I just know the players. I just know kind of their techniques and, things of that nature. But they do their study just like we do ours. Players change year in and year out, game in, game out. So, it doesn't necessarily give me an advantage because you never know what you're going to get.
Justin Williams, go ahead.
James, you know Cole better than most people. We talked to him after the title game, and even after that big kick, he was pretty steely and reserved. What is he like normally, and what was he like, maybe not with the media in the moment after that kick went through?
Yeah, he's probably definitely not as steely like just around the boys or with the specialist group as he probably can be with the media. He's pretty reserved when he talks to people about his accolades or his success. And I don't know, I'm sure he probably told you, like, before he lined up for the kick, like, I just said a couple of words to him just to get him in the right mindset, and I knew he was going to knock it home from the get-go. He's one of those people that's just, with some of the adversities and things that he's gone through since he's been here, has just risen and risen and risen, and I've got full faith that he's able to do whatever is put in front of him. And yeah, it's just it was like, yeah, I was happy for the win, but like, it's pretty happy to see one of your best mates just knock one through, and that's the game winner, and that's how you win a conference championship. Like, that's something I'm going to remember for the rest of my life, sort of thing.
What did you say to him? He didn't tell us.
Well, so we were lining up for the kick, and I just went and whispered in his ear. I said, "We're built for this. Cincinnati Bearcats were built different." So, and then he just went back and slotted her straight through the middle. So, I'll take as much credit for it as I can.
Chad Brendel, go ahead.
James, take me back to Higher Ground 2019. Pat McAfee shows up, and it seemed like it was, they were doing their video stuff and having some fun with it. But how important was it? He spent like an hour with you guys, and I know he's somebody you look up to, having the career that he's had after football. But take me through that time he spent with you guys and what it meant to have a guy that, an all-pro NFL guy, spend that much time with you.
It was definitely something that I've cherished and remembered a lot of the things like I just spoke about with him. So it's not very often that you get to speak to like a Pro Bowl NFL player, especially one that's a punter and like in your niche position. So I made pretty certain that I was going to pick his brain on whatever I wanted to talk to him about in regard to punting. So I asked him a bunch of questions, and he was more than happy to answer and sort of help me out and give me a few pointers about some certain things about like punting and like how I need to do and what I need to improve if like my aspirations are to play at the next level. And that's sort of like, you can't stress how important that sort of thing is. And just to have someone that is a Pro Bowl punter look at you and think that you're pretty good is always a nice thing too.
Have you been able to keep in touch with him at all since then, or was that pretty much it for now?
There's been a couple of messages exchanged back and forth just on Twitter here and there, and after the first game we played against UCLA, of course. But he's a busy man, does a lot of commentating and things these days. But it's also lucky that we've got so many Pro Kick Australia guys that are in the NFL as well that are playing really well. So if I ever need some help or advice, I'll just message one of them, and they're more than happy to get back to me.
Guys, that's about all the time we have. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. These recordings will be available from the Peach Bowl later today. If anyone has any questions, either reach out to myself or Matt Garvey. And remember, the Georgia press conferences start at 10 a.m. Eastern today. Thanks, everybody.